Hi guys, I'd figure I'd like to do a little tutorial on how to set up Kodi. So let's take a look at it right now. So here's your main screen, and the first thing you're going to do is go to Settings, click OK on your remote, and you have a choice between Ethernet and Wi-Fi. If you have Ethernet, stay with Ethernet that can connect to it. If not, you would have to go over to the Wi-Fi section, hit Wi-Fi, and you'll see that your router name will show up eventually. So you click on to the router, hit OK, it'll bring you to a green screen. You'll have to put your password in there. And you can also show your password just in case you mess up, and then go to connect now. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep it as Ethernet, and you'd be able to see that connected. Next, I'm going to hit display, and a couple options here. I'm going to go down to display position, and sometimes your picture might not fit your screen. So what you can do is you can change it by going up or down and creating a larger or smaller screen under the display. When you like what you see, you're just going to hit the go back button, the return button on your remote, and it'll bring you to the main section of the display. The other thing you can do is if you want to hide your status bar or not, I like to keep it as hidden. Some people like to choose it as keeping it there, but I'm going to keep it as hiding it on. The last thing I'm going to talk about is your other settings. So I'm going to go to more settings, and this is a spot where you can change a couple things. The first thing we're going to do is go to storage, and we're going to clear a little space here because it'll make your box run a little quicker. So I'm going to go down to cache data, hit OK on my remote control. It'll tell me that it would be able to cache my data. So I hit OK, and you'll notice that it goes from megabytes to kilobytes. So hopefully this will speed up your system. You won't do that occasionally on a regular basis. And every so often you might see the date or time off. So I'm going to go to date and time, and I'm going to make sure that the date is set properly. And by doing that, I just go to the section where it says Eastern Time Zone, and I can move it up and down. So we'll keep it as Eastern Time Zone. Okay, so then I'm just going to keep going back until I get back to this setting here. And now we're going to go to the main screen again. And at the bottom, you have a whole list of things that you can work with. If you hit My Apps, it'll bring you to even more categories you can choose from. So you have Facebook. If you go back even further down, you can use Mirrorcast, kind of like mirroring your object. If you have Netflix, you can use this with your Netflix account as well. Skype would work here. So you can do this, and YouTube, and you can do this and add it to the bottom of your screen here by hitting the plus button. So if I hit plus, this screen will show up, and I can select which one I want to have displayed at the bottom. But because my space is full, I'm just going to use these as my general settings. So let's go to the main thing we're going to use, which is Kodi. You'll see it here under the K. So I'm going to choose Kodi, and for the first time, you're going to have this item showing up here. It's going to take a little while to load up, but when it does, you'll be able to view as many things as you can. So here I have a whole list of categories highlighted. Music is highlighted in blue. I can go to videos by moving left and right on my remote control. But the main thing we're going to use Kodi for is the video section, and there's 5 different main things I'm going to use. The first one here that you see is Genesis. Then you have World TV, Prime Wire, Sports Dublin, Phoenix. Now Phoenix is a pretty good one here. When I go to music, I can also do the same thing. Radio is a great app to use if you want to listen to some music. So if I select radio, I can select by genre, by country, sometimes by radio station as well, and I can just follow the pattern that way. Then into programs, we'll get into programs a little later, but you can use a whole list of them there. So let's go back to videos, and I'm going to select Phoenix to start with, because I find that Phoenix is probably the best one to use when you're using or when you're wanting to watch a movie. So I select Phoenix, and you'll see a whole list of apps that come up, or folders. So you can use whatever folder you'd like, feel comfortable with. The one I like to use is the one with the dog. And you'll see it's called Stale 2014, but that's not the one you always have to use. Feel free to navigate your own and see what you come up with. But let's go to Stale, and you'll see that it's loaded into different sections: 2015 movies, 14, and the list goes on and on. So depending on which type of movie you want to watch, you can select from the different sections. You have a 1080p movie, which has very good quality. You have kids and animation movie. You even have live TV in some sections here. So navigate through and see if there's anything that comes up. So I'm going to go to 2015 movies just to show you, and I'm just going to hit the OK button on the remote control, and you'll see a whole list of movies coming up that this folder has. So you can go through them and see what might be of interest to you. I'm going to choose a movie which I know has good quality picture right now. So I'm going to hit Southpaw. I'm going to hit the word OK. And then it's going to bring me to 6 links. Now this is telling me that there's 6 different possibilities to the movie. So I'm going to go to the first link. I'm going to hit OK there. But if that doesn't work, I can try the other links if that's the case. So I'm going to go to the first link. You'll see in the bottom right-hand corner the word working. You know that that's working, and it'll bring you to the movie. So the movie's set up. You see the picture quality, which is pretty good, 1080p. So there's the quality of the picture, which works really well. So I'm just going to have it play here. I'm just going to stop the movie for a second, just to show you a couple of the links here. So I tried the first link, it works, but let's just say it doesn't. I'm going to go to link 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 just to see if these ones work. So here we go to link number 2. I'm going to press OK. It says it's opening stream. You'll notice in the bottom right it says working. So you'll see a little pinwheel. You'll know that the link is trying to work that way. If you don't get anything showing up, then that means it's a dead link. So you'll just try the next one. But this one here is just trying to work on its own to see if it gets some sort of video image. So let's just take a little bit of time and see what happens. Okay, so it says that this link has failed, and that's okay because you have 4 others or 5 others to choose from. So I just hit the OK button. I try link number 3. I do the exact same thing, so I'm going to see if that works. Automatically that tells me it's dead. So let's just go back to number 1 where I know it's working. So I hit the OK button. You'll see it's working in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, back to this area here. Now if you look at your remote control right in the middle, you'll see a left arrow, a right arrow, an up arrow, and a down arrow. So that's good because it'll tell me to fast forward or rewind certain things. So if I hit the button itself to the right, it's going to fast forward it by about 10 seconds. And you'll notice in the top right-hand corner it says 10 seconds. So I'll hit it again, 10 seconds, fast forwards again. If I use the top button, or if I hit the left button, it's rewinding 10 seconds. I hit it again, rewinding again. And if I hit the up button, it fast forwards at 10 minutes. I'm going to hit the upwards buttons again, so now we're up to 20 minutes. So the only thing you have to worry about is make sure that your buffer speed catches up to you fast forwarding, because if that's the case, you might see a little bit of freezing there. So we would want to stop that and just make sure that it catches up. Now if you notice, sometimes you might see people's mouths not sync with the voice itself. So there's a way we can fix that. So if you're looking at this movie and you're saying, oh, you know what, the voice is a little off, we can do a couple things to that. So I'm going to hit the OK button, and at the bottom you'll move over to where you see a little stereo sound or image. Then this will pop up and you'll see the audio offset. You hit OK and it'll bring you to this audio clip, and all you do with the left and the right button is just change it around until you see the lips are synced exactly with the words itself. So that's just a little playing around with it. You're not always going to get this with all movies, but sometimes if you're watching live TV or a link that's not a very good one, you'll have to change the audio around. And to go back, you just hit the return button a couple of times until you get to the main screen. So there's the go back or return button, return one more time, and I'm back at the main screen. Again, we're watching the movie back again. Okay, so I hit OK and I press stop. Oh, sorry, I'm just hitting the fast forward button right now, so you can manually fast forward it if you want. And that's another way you can fast forward the movie or rewind it. So different ways or different options that you can do to get up and down from the movies. Sometimes if I hit the return button too quickly, it'll bring me to a screen where you have the image playing in the background, but you have all this stuff here. Very simple to fix this. I just moved my arrow button to the left, and there's a whole option here. So I go down to where it says full screen, I hit the OK button, and I'm back to the full screen again. So no need to panic. So I'm just going to stop this and we'll go on to the next step. So I'm going to go back one more time. I hit the return back to the main screen here. Here's another one that I like to use because here, depending on who you're using this media box with, it gives you other options just besides movies. So I'm going to move down and you can see that they give me a little more options. There's one option here that's Cinema Italiano, so Italian movies, gives you Italian series. It even gives you live Italian TV and more cultural stuff here. It gives you documentaries, sports documentaries. So there's a whole list of things that you can use or try to choose from and just navigate and kind of get used to this. So let's just go back or hit the return button to the main screen. Phoenix TV is also a good one if I want to watch sports, live sports. So I just hit sports, I go to US, Canada sports, and it gives me a whole list of channels here that I can choose from. Now if I'm going to select NBC Sports, I'm going to hit OK. Sometimes if the link is dead, nothing will show up. But let's just make sure I just hit the OK button properly. So sometimes the remote control is a little finicky, so I hit OK one more time. It is working. So now I'm watching the live NBC Sports channel. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the return button. TSN actually works as well. You just have to find a link that's actually up and running. I find that TSN 3 usually works. So here's the picture quality of live sports with TSN 3. Not too bad quality, not 100% HD, but if you're happy with what you see, then that's one thing that you can take a look at. Okay, so I'm going to stop this, hit the return button, go back to the main screen. So now we're at the main screen of Kodi, and I showed you how Phoenix works. So now we're just going to go into Genesis and show you a little bit about Genesis. Now this shows up, you can just read through it, hit the return button. I find that Genesis and PrimeWire are one and the same, so I'm just going to show you how Genesis works, and you can use the same idea with PrimeWire. So the same thing happens here. See movies, TV shows. Let's go to movies. Now here you can just select by genre if you'd like, year, people, certificates. I'm going to go to people watching to see what people are actually types of movies people are watching on this site here. So it takes the time to load up. Now if you notice, they show the pictures of the movies here. Now if I'm not happy with it, if I move my arrow to the left, oh sorry, I've chosen the Avengers: Ages of Ultron. The picture quality here is quite good for a movie that's still in the theater, and the same thing you're going to see here as you did with Phoenix. You can fast forward at 10 seconds if you like, using the right button. You can rewind at 10 seconds if you like, using the left button. You can go up and go 10 minutes if you want to do that. Go back 10 minutes by using the down button. So you just have to kind of find the links that work for you. Now going back, here's a whole list of movies here. Now, if we're going to take a look at a specific movie you would like to see, rather than using that, I'm going to hit the search button, hit OK, and now I'm going to type in a movie that I would like to watch. Now I'm using a wireless keyboard here, so it's actually quite easy for me to type this in. However, so I'm typing in the Imitation Game using the keyboard. However, if I don't have one, so I'm just going to erase this. If I want to type in a movie with my remote control, I'm going to have to do this manually by just moving left and right on the remote control and find a movie that I'd like to watch. So I'm going to do a simple title, TED, T-E-D, and I hit the done button. So it's searching for the movie TED, and this is what comes up. So I have TED 2, I have TED 1, and I have other movies that have the title TED in there. So I'm going to select the first movie, TED. It's working. It's going to take a little bit of time. What this is doing is the media box is recognizing where this movie is being played, so it's going to try to gather all the information from there. And sometimes you're going to have a whole list of categories of where the movie is actually playing. So it's just going to take a little bit of time for something to show up. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others, depending on the movie and depending on the source. But here it is. So again, a whole bunch of links that we can use. So I'm going to use VK Box. I find this one works well for me in HD. So you'll notice in the bottom right, again, you know that it's working, the title's working. So it's going to take a little bit of time to load up for the link. So here we go, and now the movie TED is playing in the background. Again, I'm moving fast forward by 10 minutes, so here's the picture quality, which is pretty good. Not the greatest thing to find right now, or greatest scene to look for. Okay, so I go back. Now instead of movies, I'm going to go to TV shows, and here's something cool. Same thing you can do is if you want to see what people are watching, you can see what are the popular movies. Fear of the Walking Dead is a big one, Big Bang Theory. So these are the things that people have of interest, which might interest you. So let's go to Big Bang Theory. The cool thing about this is it shows the seasons, not just which TV show. So it starts with season 1 all the way to season 9. So I'm going to select season 1. I'm going to hit OK. And then it gives me the pilots, all the seasons and when they aired on the right hand side. So I'm going to try the pilot right now to see if that's working. So I choose pilot. Gives you a little bit of a write-up at the bottom as to what the first episode, second episode is all about. So if you weren't sure which one you've seen, you can go check that out, and it gives you a whole list of information. Okay, so from pilots, here's my list that I can choose from. I'm going to choose the first one. Seems like it's working well, and here is the Big Bang Theory, first episode, first season. So far we've had pretty good luck with the picture quality. So I'm just going to go back. So let's say you actually want to find a movie that you want to watch. So I'm going to go back to search and find a movie. I'm going to type in The Good Wife. So the space Good Wife. And it should take me to obviously the season of The Good Wife. So here's a whole list. So rather than going to the first one and hitting OK, I'm going to go to the first one, and you'll see a menu option on your remote control. I want you to hit the menu option real quick, and you'll be given a list of things that come up. So there's 4 different things. What I'm interested in is the add to favorites. Okay, so I'm going to hit add to favorites, hit the OK button, and at the bottom it says The Good Wife added to favorites. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to get out of Genesis. And let's say I want to watch an episode of The Good Wife. So I'm going to go into Genesis. I'm going to hit TV shows. And instead of hitting search, I'm going to go to my favorites. And The Good Wife shows up. So now I can just hit The Good Wife and go into the different seasons and choose the season and the show that I would like. So again, same thing. Here's the pilot and all the seasons that you would have from season 1. So that's how Genesis works. So I'm then going to go into Sports Devil. So people that love live sports, you'll have a couple of options there. So there's live sports, there's sports TV and live TV. Oh, sorry. Just going to go back again. You have the options of live sports, sports TV, and live TV. Now, some links are finicky, so you're just going to have to kind of try and see what works well. So I'm going to go to live sports, and here it gives me a whole list of links that you can choose from. Now, depending on the day, links work better than others. I'm going to go to one that actually works well for me so far, called Dim Sports. So I hit OK on my remote, and then it gives me a whole list here. So it gives me American football, boxing. I'm going to go to ice hockey. And what this is going to tell me is which hockey games are going to be on today and the time at what they're playing. So all these have already been played, so the link is dead, obviously. So I'm just going to go back and maybe go to a link that I know that's going to work. So let's go to American football, Sunday night football. So the Lions are playing the Broncos. So I'm going to go to there, hit OK, and then it brings me to 5 different links. So from here, I'm just going to find links that work. So link 1, let's hope this works. And there you go. So we have NFL football. You'll see the commercial here. And the picture quality is fairly decent. Not HD, but I think pretty good for free football game. Okay, so I'm going to go back. You can also have other things. The WWE UFC pay-per-views, if you ever want to watch a pay-per-view, that would show if it's on. Obviously, there's no pay-per-views being played right now, so there's no link there. But you can look at all the other sports as well and try different links that way. Now, you notice that these are the main 5 links that you're going to work with, but there's a couple of other things that you would see. So I have the word videos highlighted, but I'm going to go down to where it says add-ons and hit OK. And this is giving me additional stuff that I can watch if I'm bored with those 5 links. So let's say you want to watch Canadian TV. I'm going to go to a section called Can TV Live. Then I'm going to go to Global TV, Toronto. And it's just going to catch up with the buffering. And here's Global TV Live. It was what you would see on your TV. And I think it's pretty good quality. But if I scroll down, there's a whole other list of things. TED Talks is one section that's pretty good. So I'm just going to hit Newest Talks, and it'll give me a list of TED Talks, and if there's anything of interest to me there, I can just hit OK. I'll fast forward it a little bit, 10 minutes or a couple minutes, and that's what I've come up with. So with TED Talks. You'll notice at the bottom there's some subtitles, which is actually, I'm glad that this happened. So I'm going to go to the subtitles, and at the bottom you'll see that there's a link for subtitles. So I'm moving over. You'll see the word enabled and there's a blue light on it. So I'm just going to go there and hit OK. And you'll notice now at the bottom it says subtitles are disabled. So if you ever see subtitles and you want to disable them, that's the way you do that. Okay, so I'm going to hit the stop button. And TED Talks, another good thing to have on there. Now there's a whole list of other things here, but let's say that you're kind of bored with all of these and you want to see if there's any other type of links that you would want to do. Sorry, we're going to go to NaviX for a second. We're going to talk a little bit about NaviX. So we're going to go hit start here. We're going to go to things that says most viewed for the last 24 hours. And then it gives me a whole list of things here that you can choose from. You can navigate through them on your own. But a couple of things that I would like to just show you here, just another option. You have live TV here from around the world. You have movies. You have sports channels. I find Maz's is pretty good too if you want to use NaviX. Same type of idea, it gives you a whole list of movies. This is San Andreas in HD. So at the bottom left of your screen, you'll see the word loading. So you know that that's working, and then you'll see the working sign in the bottom right with the little pinwheel moving around. And if the movie shows up as a link, then obviously you'll see the movie starting quite shortly. Like I said, sometimes it takes a while for that to happen. So you'll just need a little bit of patience with some of these links here. So here's San Andreas. Decent quality, not as good as the ones that we saw. A little darker in its picture. So what I would do is I would just stop this and find a better link for San Andreas. So I'm just going to go back. So here, I'm going to try to go back, hit the return button one more time, and here I would have to go to the exit section just to make sure I exit out of NaviX. And then it brings me back to the section here. Going back to that, so again, these are the 5 main ones that I would want to start playing around with first. And then let's say I want to move on to add-ons, and there's something that I heard of interest that's not on my screen just yet. So what I would do is there's a little puzzle piece at the bottom that says get more. There it is, right at the bottom, get more. So that means I'm just going to hit OK, and it's going to give me more items that I could enable to watch. So the ones that are already enabled have the word enable on it, but I'm just going to go down, and this is all alphabetically, and I'm just going to search things that might be of interest for me. I'm doing this quickly, but I know there's a cartoon channel here that I can find if anyone has kids and see if this works. So I'm going to go to Cartoon HD, and a screen will pop up asking me if I want to install it. So I hit OK. And then I hit OK again to install it. You'll notice a percentage where it says downloading, and it'll say Cartoon HD enabled. So now when it's enabled, you see that it's enabled right next to the word Cartoon HD. So I'm just going to go back once to hit the return button and look for Cartoon HD. This is all alphabetical, so it should be closer to the top. There it is, Cartoon HD. I'm going to hit OK on the remote, and it says the link's dead, or the link's not working. Okay, so try it again. Okay, so I know that the link isn't necessarily working, so I want to disable this one. So it's nonsense to have links that aren't working so far. So we're going to try to uninstall that in just a second. So let's see if I can find something else. that I want to enable. So I go back to Get More, and I think there's a Disney link here somewhere under the D's. So Disney here, Disney Junior. So I'm going to hit Disney, I'm going to hit install, and it's downloading again, so wait for it to fully download. And it'll say that it's enabled, Disney Junior is enabled, and it's working. Wait for it. Okay, and then now it's enabled. So I know that's working. I'm going to go back to the Cartoon HD, so because it's not working, I'm going to disable it. So here it is. Instead of enable, I'm going to hit disable, and now it's disabled. So you won't see that picture coming up on that screen anymore. So you see they're disabled. So I'm going to go back and let's see if Disney works. So Disney Junior, I hit OK on my remote. And it brings me to a whole list of Disney characters. So I'm going to see if there's one that you can find. So I hit the OK button, and nothing shows up here. So I'm going to hit the return button and choose a different character and see what shows up there. Okay, so there's a whole list of characters and videos here that I can look at. So I choose one, I hit OK, and alright, so here it is and it works. I just want to show a couple other things. So I'm just going to stop it here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back into Phoenix because there's a way that you can change the way the options of the videos look. So I'm going to go back into that stale 2014, and there's a kids section here for movies. Now I'm going to hit OK, and they give me a whole list of movies set up like this. But if I move my remote control to the left, hit the left button on the remote control, I can change the way the list looks. So right at the top it says View List. If I hit OK, it'll just change it around to different images here. Now I would change it to Media Info because it kind of gives you a little bit of a list of what each movie is all about. So it kind of gives you a little synopsis of the movies here. So I'm going to go to Minions. I'm going to hit OK. And there's 3 different links. So I'm going to go to the first link, hit OK. And so the movie Minions that's still in the theater is now being played on Phoenix here. So I'm just going to fast forward 10 minutes, and there you go. Pretty good quality. Okay, so I hit return. I'm going to go back to the main screen here. So I'm going to go back to the main window by hitting the home button. And one thing I forgot to talk about is the browser. So find the home button, go to the browser world globe at the bottom, and now I have a smart TV. So my smart TV, you'll notice on the remote control there's the word mouse on the bottom right hand corner just after the OK. If I hit the mouse word, my remote control now becomes like a navigation mouse, so I can move it like a little pointer. So I'm going to move down to the little section here, and now you'll see a keyboard coming up. So if I can do the keyboard in one of 2 ways. I can continue with the mouse, or if I hit the mouse button again, I can just move up and down with the keyboard. Now if you note at the bottom left hand side of the keyboard, you'll see the word English. Make sure that it actually says English there, because sometimes it shows up as Chinese because these media boxes were from China. So just make sure that you see the option as English. And then from there I can just type in whatever I'd like. Now I'm just using the wireless keyboard, so it's easier for me, but you'd have to type this in manually. So I'm going to type in Flickster. And here's the website that comes up as Flickster. So if I want to see a movie of interest, or if you want to check your email, you can do that too. So here's Flickster, here's the main website. and it gives me a list of ways where I can pick movies, and I can choose to, if I'm interested in a movie, it kind of gives me a little synopsis as to what this movie is all about. So instead of using the Kodi, I'm now using my TV as a smart TV. So I can go and choose a specific movie. I'm just moving it around here. So let's say I want to choose Copland. So I'm going to move over to Copland, hit OK, and then it gives me a brief synopsis. So here's my TV now working as a smart TV as well. So I'm just going to hit the home button again, and it'll bring me back to the main screen and back to where we see it here, and go back into Kodi. And I think what we're going to look at now, go back into settings. A couple things is just to make sure that I've cached everything. So making sure that I've cleared the cache so the media box speeds up. I can do it this way, which is the first way that you can clear the cache, but I'll show you another way to clear the cache too. So I'm going to go back into Kodi. I'm going to go to Programs. I'm going to go to Maintenance Tool at the bottom. Oh, sometimes you'll see the media box freeze a little bit, or you might see something like that. So the best way to do it is just to unplug manually the media box and plug it back in to restart itself. So I've restarted it, and here we go back into Kodi. Oh, sorry, a little bit of technical difficulty. So I have it loaded up. We're going into Maintenance Tools. We can go into General Maintenance, and I'm going to go to Clear Cache here as well. So I'm going to select OK, and it says cache is done being cleared. You hit OK, and now it was done clearing. So I'm just going to hit the Return button, return again, and I'm at the main screen. So there's two ways you can actually clear the cache. One was through the main site, and this other way is through the program section. So basically these are the main ways to set up Kodi. I hope they work for you, and if there's any other main issues that you have with this, just send me a quick email, see if I can answer those questions for you. All right, thanks.